My guest today is Rachel Tuller. She is the Vice President of Global Channels here at Autodesk. Let's jump into the conversation. So welcome to the Bridging the Gap podcast here, recording live at AU. Rachel Tuller, thanks so much for coming and taking the time to join the show today.
It's my pleasure. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, let's start with, if you can share a little bit about your background and your journey into Autodesk here.
Yeah, well, as of today, I've been here about 5 months, so I'm still fairly new. I came here to lead the global channels and partnership team, really working with our resellers around the world. And I have experience. I've been doing that most of my life. I came from Cloudera, which is a cloud data platform company. So I think that background really lends itself well to where Autodesk is going as an organization and where our partners want to grow their businesses too.
Yeah, nice. What motivated you to take part and join the Autodesk?
You know, it's interesting. I was looking for the next step, my career, my role, and I really wanted to be with a leading company that was a market leader across the board in all the different products. I love that we have a product-led CEO. It's very exciting to me. And the leadership team here is fantastic. So as I was going through the process and learning about the business, the products, where we play, it just felt like it was a really good fit for me.
Yeah. That's awesome. So learning curve coming into Autodesk University, you know, there's so much coming at you at one time. How's it been this week at your first AU?
So my answer that when everybody asks me that is it's a lot. It's definitely a lot. It's a lot of people. It's a lot of products. It's a lot of information, but I love it. It's so energizing and it's exciting. And it's just so amazing to see the really cool things that our partners and customers are doing with our products to like solve problems. It's really cool.
Yeah. I always say in construction, it's the industry that has the most creative problem solvers. What they do every single day, they have to figure out how to fix something that wasn't supposed to be broken, but now it is, and let's get to it. And they're so good at using their creativity and unleashing that. I think you see that on display here at AU as well.
It's really inspirational. As I walk the halls and go through the expo, just kind of the innovation is off the charts.
So one of the main themes so far at this show is all around reinvention. Wonder if you could speak to some of that. What is reinvention? What does that mean to Autodesk? Why the reinvention theme?
You know, Autodesk is a really mature company. I was familiar with Autodesk when I started in my career decades ago. And to know that they're a viable, growing, strong organization, they have to reinvent themselves to stay relevant, as do we as partners, as do we as humans, right? I have had my own reinvention a few times in my career in different roles that I've had. And so for me, the way Autodesk approaches reinvention is just this continuous improvement, continuous development, market-leading capabilities. And it's exciting to see.
On the customer-centric perspective that Autodesk comes in with, how would you encourage customers then to embrace this reinvention mantra?
So it's interesting. Any company says, oh, they're customer centric and customer focused, but like Autodesk puts their money where their mouth is. Like they invest in customer development, they invest in customer growth, they work with our partners. And I think the way our customers can take advantage of that is to really lean into the different offerings that we have. Like we're constantly doing product development. We're always coming up with, new ways of approaching markets and approaching solutions. And to be open to that, I think is a really great thing for a customer to really have a lens to.
Mm-hmm. And what about for your role? So your global channels, maybe for people that don't know, what does that really mean and look like in practice? And how does reinvention kind of play a role in that?
Yeah, so it's interesting. This role existed about 10, 12 years ago here at Autodesk, where there was a central place for all of our partner leaders and partner managers to report into. Basically, it's a reporting structure. And they did away with that, right? And now our partners are so important to our business today that I think the hiring and creation of this role, adding it back into the organization, speaks to the value that we see in our partners and the way that we want to grow that business. For me, really working with our partners, our resellers, our developers, our IP companies, services organizations around the world. This ecosystem is really what's going to help support our customers as they reinvent themselves and as we reinvent ourselves.
I want to dive into that in a minute, but before we really go into the partner conversation, given your background with cloud technology, obviously cloud is a big topic of conversation here at AU. Wonder if you can kind of speak to Autodesk's perspective coming in and really wrapping around the cloud tech.
I love it. It was one of the reasons that I wanted to join, right? Like I want to be with a modern company that's really driving growth in the industries, really being innovative in the way that they approach change. And obviously our customers want cloud solutions. And so we need to deliver on that. Whether they ask for it or not, I think cloud is the way to go because there's so many ways that our products can interoperate together to make workflows more efficient, to make people more efficient with what they're doing, to create optimization amongst our products, amongst our customers' workflows, just to really drive that level of engagement and productivity.
Anything that you would encourage people to dive into more when it comes to cloud, or a myth that might be out there that should be kind of debunked?
Yeah, I think one thing that's interesting about cloud is everybody thinks it's the be all end all, right? Like everything has to go to the cloud. And what I saw in my previous life is kind of a repatriation back to the desktop, back to on-prem. And I think the hybrid model is actually where things are at. And I think it's where we are in our evolution. I don't think the desktop goes away. People still need to be individually productive, but the ability to share files, the ability to share data, across the cloud it's magic. Like it literally unlocks so much for all of our customers.
On the fear side that kind of creeps in there every now and then of like, oh, I can't put it in the cloud. Can I trust it? What say you?
Yeah. I mean, it's true, right? There are some times when the cloud is insecure, but if you have the right platform, you have the right security controls in place like Autodesk does, I think that it's a no-brainer. It's a non-issue. There's so many organizations that have had like zero security issues in 12, 14, 18 years of being, around since the early days of the cloud and, wide area networking, all of that. If you have the right tools, then I think it's a great place to be.
No, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're in the Great Tech booth, partner of Autodesk. How are our partners really helping to transform Autodesk customers as well?
I think now more than ever, partners are critical to our success. Our customers are looking for solutions. They're looking for creativity and innovation. And I think it would be, dare I say, arrogant for a company like Autodesk to think they can do it on their own. We have got to have partners to really bring the level of complexity down to a simple level for our customers to really help solve problems. I think the way that you have the local and regional connections, whether it's local language or knowing the local governments or regulations, I mean, that's super key. And one company can't be expected to know all of that. And if we're going to, grow the business and be here in another 40 years, we're not going to get there without our partners.
Mm-hmm. What new opportunities do you see the partners playing in the Autodesk story moving forward?
Yeah, so I think it's beyond software, right? It's the level of expertise and consultative industry skills that you guys bring to the table, the ability for you to sit down and actually help solve customer problems, really understanding what they're trying to do and figure out a way to bring those solutions to market, whether it's around services, whether it's around developing products or IP. There's so many different places, and especially in a cloud world, that, partners can play, that the possibilities are endless.
So you started to go into a bit, but let's kind of double click on that. Can you describe the partnership between Autodesk partner and Autodesk for those that might think, oh, it's just my reseller, or, I just buy my software through them or whatever?
Yeah, I think gone are the days of just a traditional reseller, right? Like those days are over. I think over the last 5 to 10 years, Autodesk has done an amazing job of helping their partners transform into really full solution providers, being able to really address the needs of the market and address the needs of our customers. One thing that we love is the ability to keep bringing new products to market. There's no shortage of that. And so for our partners to be able to keep up and to be able to manage that is an amazing feat. And being able to leverage all of that to bring customer solutions to market is really critical.
Yeah, that's awesome. So on the value side for customers, when they're working with a partner and getting the services and the IP on top of Autodesk, what does that story look like for a customer?
I think it's a great symbiotic relationship, right? Like there's always a customer who wants to work with the vendor because they're supposed to be the experts, right? So we co-sell together. We work together to solve common problems for the customer. And I think that's really where the criticality is. I've seen the relationships that we have with our top partners around the world. Our customers can't do it without partners, and Autodesk can't do it without partners and customers. And I think the three of us working together is really where it's critical. The expertise and the industry domain knowledge that you guys bring to the table is scalable, right, through partners. And when we say scalable, it means that we can work with global customers, we can work with global organizations to help bring solutions around the world in all parts of the geos, in all different languages, and with all different tools and technologies.
Yeah, I think that's been a cool part of, obviously me coming from the Great Tech side of things, to be able to see the local kind of vibe and just the nuances even of how people are doing things in the southeast of the US is very different than how they do it in Canada, which is very different than Europe. And being able to really appreciate and understand all that nuances is something that's where the magic really happens, that you can relate to the customer.
Yeah, and that's where the cloud helps, right? Because the cloud helps us be more global. It connects us all in a way that we were never connected before. And to be able to leverage that really and drive the uniqueness and the individuality between our products and our geos and our regions and the different nuances that we have, I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One of the things that gets me really excited, for a long time, we were talking about this interconnected interoperability state that we were going to get there in technology. And it always kind of seemed like it was going to be it was just maybe out of reach, but now it's really starting to happen. It's super exciting to see everything, all the pieces of that puzzle really come together.
It's exciting when the magic happens like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Any kind of big macro trends that you're noticing in the industry?
I think what we're seeing around regionalization is one, right? Where the data centers and everything, being able to really see where that's playing. AI, of course, we can't have a podcast if we don't mention AI. But I come from an AI company.
Made it pretty far. That was impressive. Yeah.
My previous company was an AI, as a data platform, right? Data is critical. Data is the new, you used to say content is king, right? Well, data is king. And data is where our customers are going to really unlock the potential within their solutions to be able to make intelligent business decisions, to create efficiencies for optimization, sustainability. And I just love, I've been learning a lot while I'm here walking the floor. And I love how some of our partners are really bringing, including you guys, bringing AI into the conversation. It's real. It's not, far off in the distance anymore. And it's not the old Clippy that it used to be.
I enjoy the old Clippy. It was fun. So on the data side of things, how should customers really think about their data? Because I think that's a huge problem. There's so much incoming that it's very easy to get just totally overwhelmed and kind of throw your hands up.
Yeah.
How do you prioritize that?
So I think that the main thing to do is to really, ask the business questions of the data, right? That's what it's there for. Data is just data. If you don't have the ability to pull insights, you don't have the ability to ask intelligent data questions. And that's where machine learning and, AI and a lot of the other stuff comes into play. It really helps us unlock those insights that are buried in the data. But you have to have enough data to really make good decisions. And so being able to capture that data, being able to go back and get years of it and pull it together, I think that retrospective look really helps us decide where we need to go in the future.
Yeah, and I think that's where AI for sure comes into play, is once you have those kind of business outcomes and questions that you want the data to go, train the AI on that and let it run away and fire. That's what it's going to do.
But you got to have humans. I think this is the big fallacy that's out there around AI, is that it's going to replace humans in the process. And all it does is make us as humans more effective, right? Mm-hmm. We can do the cool things that we want to do instead of grinding through volumes and volumes of data. Let the AI do that repetitive work and let us really bring the value to the table.
Yeah. Kind of coming back to where we started with the creativity in construction. I think that's what gets me excited about AI, is it allows people to really harness their creativity, and the mundane tasks kind of go off to the side and let the AI do that. That's what that does great. And we as people we can use our minds and really can connect the dots that the AI can't.
Exactly. And as when we think about like the workforce shortages that are going on in construction, I think there's a huge opportunity here for AI to play a role in that. Mm-hmm. And then for our partners to then be able to bring that level of expertise to the market to really help retool or retrain the workforce of the future and shape that. I think it's an important role that our partners can play in that world.
Yeah. So again, we're, here in the Great Tech booth. What would you say to Great Tech? How can Great Tech position themselves to really capitalize on some of these trends?
We've had these conversations. And what I love about Great Tech is their ability to really think big, right? To bring products to market, to bring services to market, to look through a global lens to service global customers. And I think continuing down that path is really something that we just want to capitalize on and take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. I like it. So looking out over the next couple of years, where do you see the industry going? What's something that we'll be talking about at AU, 2030?
If I had that crystal ball, I probably wouldn't be in this job.
Fair enough. Okay, so modeling the future, that's the tagline of Great Tech. What does that mean? What does that kind of look like in your mind?
I think that's where the imagination and the creativity comes into play. We're like, what does the future look like in the new world? We're walking by these VR booths. We're walking by, people doing things that we never imagined possible. I was at the awards dinner the other night on Monday night, and I was seeing some of the cool stuff that our customers are doing with our technology. helped by our partners, because our partners are part of that process, and understanding like what customers are trying to do and then solve those problems to help get there. I think I don't know, it gets me super excited when I think about the future of this. It's honestly what keeps me up at night, because I think the possibilities are endless, and it's really, we're limited by our own minds and what we can create.
How do we kind of break off some of those chains then of being limited by our own minds?
I think it's being open, right? Taking an approach of what if, what if we tried to do this? What if we tried to do that? And I think experimentation, failing a couple times, trying something new and different, being bold. I'm encouraging my team right now to be really bold in our approach, working with our partners and encouraging our partners to think outside the box. I know it's very cliche, but we've been in a box. We've been selling box software for, a while, then it turned to subscription. Now we're in that next evolution. And I think it's energizing and exciting to think about.
So it's a great segue to one of my favorite questions. I love to talk about innovation and kind of what's it mean and the motivation behind it. So how would you define the word innovation?
Innovation? That's a good question. I think innovation to me is understanding, kind of having a vision for where you want to go and then backing it up from there and figuring out how to get there. That level of creativity and figuring out the steps. Like, I love that messy problem solving. And to me, that's innovation.
I like it. I like it. So final question for you. If I could give you all construction power, you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in this industry, what would you pick to innovate?
I would have all of our products talking together tomorrow.
Snap, snap. I think everybody would snap on that one. I like it. That's awesome. Very
Anything
cool.
else? I mean, I think there's so much that we could do together. And I love the way our partners are bringing to market some really great solutions and creativeness. I mean, just walk around this particular booth and it's pretty impressive. So thanks for having me. You guys are doing a great job.
Thanks so much for taking the time and joining the conversation today. This was great.